Hey guys, how are things? We haven't seen you in a long time. We've been really busy doing bits and bobs between classes and exhibitions and stuff like that. As you know, my own knife design has come out in the survival knife, and we're still testing that. I've been testing it pretty much on a daily basis for the last month, and the initial reports are really good. That said, I'm going to put it through an absolute torture test next week, which we'll be doing a video on, and I just want to ensure that we have a really rugged, robust item before we make it available to anybody. Now, we're here today, and it's an unusual one for me. I have the Blackbird SK5, and what makes it unusual is it's a stainless steel knife. You guys know I'm not a big fan of stainless steel. However, they do have a purpose. This is a good companion knife for a fisherman or a hunter, and being stainless is easy to maintain the blade, and it's probably good for someone going on a canoe trip or something like that. Now, there is a caveat with stainless, and this will be my caveat with it. Please ensure, if you're carrying a stainless steel knife, that you have something like a broken file or something like that, that it's either taped to your sheath or in a pouch like this, so that you can actually strike sparks off hard volume stones. Okay, now this video isn't really about the knife, even though I don't think I've ever done a video on this knife, the Blackbird SK5. This video is actually about the sheath, but I've had this knife since they actually came out initially, and I've used it a lot over the years, and it really is a great knife. You know that I favour a spirit point type knife anyhow. It's probably mightn't suit someone if they have small hands. You need fairly shovelly sized hands for this to work well. It seems like the slabs are very flat, which they are, but there's no hot spots in it or anything like that. I also like this here. This shape here. It stops you if you're using it in a defensive fashion, which can always be a possibility in a survival knife. You've got something to stop your fingers slipping up onto the blade. And I also like it for indexing in the dark if you yet again need to use it defensively. Now, the sheath is what this is really about. My friend Paul Scheiter, who owns Hedgehog Leatherworks, in fact he designed this knife also, but his real thing is sheaths. And this sheath, you may have seen me doing a review on my SE5. I have a Hedgehog Leatherworks sheath for that, and I also have a Hedgehog Leatherworks sheath for my Tom Brown tracker knife. They're expensive, they really are. Paul sent this over to me, and in a few weeks time we'll be showing you something really special, but we can't say anything about that at the moment, but it's to do with Hedgehog Leatherworks. Now, when you look at this, the leather, there's not as much as a thick bite on any of this leather. It's really well made, and I carry this in a baldric style, so over the neck and like that, and it sits there under your oxter. But you can carry it on webbing, and there's a clip here on this Kedura type material if you're carrying it on a belt, a normal size belt, so it's not going to be riding up and down too much. Now, what's really great about this, when your knife is in the sheath, and really there's not enough emphasis placed on a quality sheath, because after all it is the home for your knife. It'll spend more time in the sheath than it probably will in your hand, and we don't want to lose our knife. So this is really tucked up in bed here, that ain't going anywhere. But what I love about these, and a lot of leather sheaths, these flaps here end up getting cut by the blade. But if you look at this, once I unclip this here, it springs forward. If you come in a little bit there, you'll see this as well. It's elastic. That moves out of the way, so you have no issue when you withdraw the blade of cutting this tab. Now, to tell you a little bit about the knife, it's a 5-inch blade. It is called the SK5, Survival Knife 5. A lanyard hole, I always feel, is really important in a survival knife. Even if you're not using it from the point of view of a lanyard, but to have something unnatural coloured, that should that fall down on the ground there now, you'll pick that up very readily and you won't lose your knife. It's a flat ground knife, full flat grind with a secondary, like most flat grinds are. It has a great spine. And being that I've never done a test on the knife, I might as well do a little bit of battling while we're here. Now, this is the kind of size of knife that it's a good chance you could be carrying it on you. Big survival knives are brilliant, there's no doubt about this. Now this is more than wrist thick, and we'll just do a little bit of battling with it. And anything that can really handle wrist thick size material is more than suitable to serve as a survival knife. Now we all know I do really like a large survival knife, I do, there's no doubt about that. But the chances of you having that on you when you find yourself in a survival scenario is very limited. Remember, we should always be prepared for survival because we never really get the opportunity to prepare for survival. And what I mean by that is, if someone's gone out into the woods, they're going to bring all their gear with them and knowing that they're going to survive. That's all well and good. But what happens on the day that you go out for a casual hike or whatever, that's when survival scenarios occur. So this is more than capable of handling this kind of stuff. And like I said, generally I don't champion stainless steel. Not a huge fan of stainless steel, but I do like this knife, and it's had quite a lot of use over the years. Firstly, I just like the design of it. There's very little wrong with a spear point blade, and I do in the last few years seem to favour simpler designs because they definitely are much easier to maintain in the field. So you can see that it's handling stuff like that no problem. Micarta, although there isn't an exposed pommel on this, micarta can take quite a hammering. So we'll try and see if we got anything there that will take a spark. Just to show you the spine on the knife. Now the spine on this knife came particularly good, you know. Incidentally, as you know, I favour light my fire ferro rods. I really do like them, they're my favourite. But the ferro rod that comes with the Hedgehog Leatherworks is fantastic. They're great ferro rods, they really, really are. And you get a great purchase on that knurled top here. But we'll use my all reliable here today. So, spine, and you know how important a 90-degree spine is. We've gone over that on loads of occasions, not just for scraping tinder or striking a ferro rod, but also for scaling fish, even fleshing out an animal. So there we go, straight onto the char cloth. No problems there, we didn't expect any problems. If you're thinking of a stainless steel survival knife, this is really good, it really is. And like I said, stainless steel has certain advantages. That said, I would never carry a stainless steel knife without having either a broken down foil or a piece of an open out blade, or at least a striker, because we always want to have that last ditch opportunity of making sparks with our carbon steel. And you've seen in another video, even finding a piece of old ceramic in the woods, we were able to gain ignition. So that's really, really important. So guys, we are going to be back to you next week, and if you're interested in the sheath, now I will say these sheaths are more expensive than the knife itself, but these are, like, I mean, as good as it gets. You won't get a better sheath. I think there's some sort of a squirrel trying to kill me from up above. You won't get a better sheath than these. They really are fantastic, and a loss of a knife from a substandard sheath is a huge problem. So another thing that I recommend, if you're carrying a knife in just a drop-in sheath, shall we call it, like a Scandinavian drop-in sheath, please ensure that your lanyard is, when you have your lanyard coming through your knife, that it's either clipped onto your keyring or whatever, so you cannot lose the knife. It's really, really important, and the effect that losing your knife can have in a survival scenario is absolutely incredible. So back to you next week, guys, and we'll be doing a torture test As I said, I generally don't do torture tests on knives other than through normal use. But for this one, we just want to ensure what it can actually take. Okay guys, see you next week. Take care.